Hello, if you are looking for drawing the lines, how to separate work and home life during COVID, then you are in the right place. My name is Danielle McDowell, and I will be the person providing you the information during this presentation today. If you have any questions for me, please make sure you're jotting those questions down. But let's go ahead and get started. Welcome. A little bit about me. As I mentioned, I'm a resident in counseling with the Healing Space. I'm a mother of five, I like to say, because I'm in a beautifully blended family. The youngest is 6 months, and we have the oldest at 20 years old. So you can imagine what it's like at my house with all the different ages of children. Um, I am very passionate about all things health and wellness. I especially like to focus on emotional health and the importance of taking care of your emotional health. So, along this presentation, you'll hear me talk a lot about self care and the benefits of managing your time and your space and having good boundaries to help your emotional health, because I'm very passionate about that, as you will see along this presentation. I am also surviving this pandemic just like you. And in order for me to survive the pandemic, I have to practice what I teach. So many of the things, the strategies, the tips that you will hear are things I actively do daily in my own life to help me manage the home life and separate it from the work life. Today's agenda includes an introduction. We're going to also talk about challenges with separating work and home. How am I holding up emotionally? So that'll be a check-in where you get to answer, how you're holding up emotionally. You also have time to improve things. So that's where we talk all things solutions. And then I always like to do a little bit of reflection when I wrap up presentations, because I think it's important to be able to reflect on the information and determine how you can utilize that information in your own personal life. So as we're wrapping up, just be prepared to reflect on the things we discussed today. Here's a video where you get to meet me and my beautiful little son. So I'm going to let you check it out.
Hello, this is Danielle McDowell, and my son's Amari McDowell. I want to pop in so you can see my face, because you'll be hearing my voice throughout this presentation. I also wanted to encourage you to get paper and pencil, so you can write down any questions you might have, so that when we are having the interactive part of the conference, I can answer those questions for you. If you don't have paper and pencil close by, if you have a smartphone or a tablet, jot down those questions on your smart device. And I'll be sure to answer them for you when we have the interactive part of the conference. Thank you, and welcome to this presentation.
All right, so now let's talk about some of these challenges. And I listed a couple here, but I'm sure you could probably think of a few of your own. When the world shut down and we had to do life differently, a lot of people ended up having to transition their work life and home life into the same space. And we had to be able to utilize our homes to work and also utilize our homes to take care of our personal responsibilities. And with that came lots of challenges. Some of those challenges are being able to manage multiple tasks during the work hours. So I mentioned about my house of kids. Well, I only have two that reside in my home because the other individuals are of age. But the two that live in my own home, one is 11 and then the 6 month old. And the 11-year-old, he had to do school from home. So now I'm teaching or assisting with teaching a little one and taking care of an infant on top of trying to work and manage all those different things, the different tasks that come with just the daily life at home. So it can be very overwhelming when you're attempting to do the personal life stuff along with the work stuff during those same work hours. And if on top of that you are managing a child who is trying to learn from home, I'm sure that brings your own unique challenges as well. I know firsthand because I've experienced some of that with my own son. Another challenge would be considering your time management. And we talk a lot about time management and having set times for set things. But when the pandemic began, it was really difficult figuring out how to manage my time. And I heard from clients that they were also struggling with figuring out how to make their days be more productive and work for them so that they could get all the different things done because it was just too difficult to manage their time. Another challenge was just living through a pandemic and really not knowing what would happen next and having all different types of life stressors that come with a pandemic. You might have witnessed in your own family or know someone who got sick and the struggles with fighting COVID, or you may have had a, a loss of a job, or your hours at work changed. So many different things shifted and changed during this time with this pandemic, and it caused additional stress. A lot of us already had just normal life stress. To add a pandemic on top of that can be very challenging and overwhelming. So, just considering just the pandemic and the part that it played on stress can make it difficult to separate that work and home life balance. The other thing to consider is the supports that you have. Supports looked a little different because we couldn't just reach out and touch our friends and family if we were abiding by the CDC's rules, and you only could stay within your home group of people of supports. Then that could limit your abilities to utilize your friends and your families and those other natural supports that you have outside of your household. So you had to learn how to use them a little differently, but that definitely affects things when you have those limited supports if you're managing a lot of different things within your household. Another challenge was making that home work for you. Not having a clear schedule or routine or even a defined workspace could be a challenge. So, I'll tell you a little bit about my own personal journey with figuring out the workspace. My office location changed 3 times in my house, as well as my son's school location, until we could find the part of the house that worked best for us, where he could sit in a quiet space but still focus and get his work done. And I could be in a quiet place and see clients on video and not have a baby crying or a TV playing in the background or my husband hearing him with the video games, just trying to make it all work. So it took a little bit of trial and error to find a good, clean workspace that assists in being productive. So that can also be a challenge. And also, just having really poor boundaries is also a common thing I've seen with clients where they felt, well, since I'm home, I know I'm supposed to be working, but my husband called, or a kid needs me to come spend some time with them, or I see that the dishes are dirty, or I need to wash some clothes. Like all the different things within the house that you get focused on, and not having really clear, defined boundaries with your time could have assisted in that, having challenges with separating your work life and your home life. I'm sure you can think of your own challenges. If there's one that I didn't list here, please jot it down. I'd love to hear what your own personal challenges has been during this time with you trying to separate that work life and that home life. All right, we're not going to minimize this pandemic. We're going to actually spend a little bit of time and reflect the feelings that come with it because it's pretty overwhelming. I think we struggle as a society sometimes to minimize big things and move past it to get back to normalcy, whatever that means, right? I think that it's really important to really honor your feelings and respect your feelings and spend time reflecting on your feelings and what those feelings mean for your day-to-day routine. And one of those things is to not minimize the pandemic and the effects it's had on your life, on your home life, on your work life, on just a trip to the grocery store, or thinking about going to the doctor, or having to go to the hospital, or missing spending time with a friend. Like, one of the things that I used to do prior to the pandemic was I would have this thing called Sister Circle at my house, where I would invite different colleagues and friends, female colleagues, to my house, and we would eat and talk just about life, and just be a support to each other. And the pandemic is something that's taken that away, where I can't have all these different people in my home because it's not safe. So I miss that opportunity. I'm also a social butterfly. I love to be around different types of people, go to conferences, learn different things, and things have all transitioned to Zoom, kind of like today, where we're sitting on a screen, we're learning information, and it's just not the same. And I don't always like it or enjoy it, but I'm choosing not to minimize my feelings, but honor and respect them. And when I'm working with clients, I spend time each session giving them space to just vent if they need to vent. I talk about how difficult the pandemic has been for them, because I think it's really important to be able to have that time to reflect. So I want you to take some time to just reflect on your own personal feelings and how you feel about all the changes that have taken place over the last year. These are some beautiful images of some individuals working from home. They make it look easy. So we see the lady with her daughter hugging her while she's doing some work, smiling. Or it looks like a father or father figure with the baby on the back, the child on the back. And then we have the young lady smiling with the computer outside, getting some work done. And I love these images, but they're not my reality most of the time when I'm attempting to separate that work life, that home life, and get it done. And I wonder if any of these images either compare to your experience or if they're different from your experience. And if they are, I'd love to hear from you. Kind of, can you relate to these pictures, or is life looking very different for you? So I talked about the pandemic and not minimizing your feelings. I also want to encourage you to just self-reflect on how you're holding up emotionally with all the weight of everything. And you might not be struggling at all. If you're an introvert, you like being at home, and this works for you, then that's okay too. But if you're an extrovert, or you've experienced loss or stress or trauma, it's important to check in with yourself too and really think about how you're holding up emotionally. We're going to take these next 4 minutes to just reflect, relax. You can even use it for a bathroom break if you need a few minutes to kind of step away, get your mind right, and come back. But you're going to hear some really relaxing music, things that I like to listen to relax. You're going to hear that for the next 4 minutes. minutes. I hope you use that time to relax, reflect on your emotions, or take a bathroom break, get you some snacks, whatever you use the time for. I hope it was helpful to you. Now we're going to talk about improvements and things we can do to make things better. This is the best part of the presentation, in my opinion, because now we can talk solutions, which I like to focus on the positive and how to fix things. So these are a couple of things that you can consider. Now, they may not all work for you, but I encourage you to write a couple down and try it out. All right? First one is creating clear boundaries. Now, that sounds really simple and easy to do, but it takes some work on creating boundaries, especially if you're not used to usually using boundaries and being firm in your boundaries. That might be an area where you need some additional support. And later in this presentation, I have a beautiful worksheet that's a tool that you can use to help you with setting those clear boundaries and maintaining those boundaries so that you can be really clear about separating work life and home life. Like, one of the really clear boundaries I have is on weekdays after 7 p.m., no matter if a client calls or texts or emails, I don't respond to anybody after 7. And I focus on myself and my family at that time. I also have a really clear boundary about the start of my day. I don't start my day early. Like I told you, I got a 6-month-old, and sometimes at night we sleep, and sometimes at night we don't sleep. So my mornings start late, and I don't start working until after 11 or 12 o'clock, depending on the night and depending on the day and how I'm honoring my feelings. So my days have shifted, they've changed a little bit, but I have those really clear boundaries with work when I'm working and when I'm at home. And it's really important to do your best to try to set those type of boundaries for yourself and your work life. If you have a position that doesn't allow for you to set those clear boundaries, it's important to be able to work with your employer to determine what type of boundaries you can set in place that work with your employment and your style of work. That can also help you to be more productive and also help with your emotional health. And if you bring it to an employer that way, hopefully your employer will be understanding and see the importance of the bottom line of you being more productive and emotionally healthy means more money and more of a good worker for the company. But that's my whole spiel on clear boundaries, and later in the presentation I'll make sure that you have access to that worksheet to help you if you feel like that's one of the areas where you could grow a little bit more, then you can utilize that worksheet. Another big important thing is to schedule, not celebrate, but you can celebrate too, right? Celebrate, schedule breaks, eat lunch, have a clear defined time to eat your meals, to take your breaks. So the day doesn't feel like it's just a day of running around where you missed meals or you missed opportunities to kind of reset yourself. You can utilize music like I just did as like a break time where you just say, for the next 4 or 5 minutes, I'm going to play this calm music, I'm going to chill, I'm going to reset myself, and then I'm going to get back into whatever I was working on. That helps your brain. It also, studies have shown that you can be more productive when you take those clear scheduled breaks, and you also have that time to eat and refresh. So make sure you're scheduling that time. You also want to make sure that you are improving your time management. So a lot of times, even prior to the pandemic, I, along with many clients that I know, struggled with putting too much in my schedule, right? So I assumed that I could accomplish 10, 12 things within a day because, sometimes I struggle with this idea that I could be superwoman when really I don't want to wear the cape. I just want to be myself. but adding more to my life than is feasible or healthy. So, looking at your schedule and really determining what takes priority for the day and is it enough hours in a day to accomplish the things that you are attempting to accomplish. And that can help you to decrease stress and also make that separation. You also want to utilize your supports. Now, I talked about it earlier. The pandemic make life a little different, and you have to get a little creative with your supports. So maybe these won't be individuals who can physically come in your home, but how can you utilize outside services? So maybe you have a budget where you can use things like Instacart to order your food so you don't have to worry about grocery shopping. That's a support, it's a resource, it's a thing to help limit things in your day to make your day a little better. Maybe you have someone that's in your circle of safety that can come in your home and assist you with some of the tasks that you might have. Like an example would be my sister moved in during my pregnancy, and she's been a big help with my son and making sure like school is going well with him and helping getting him up early in the morning sometimes if I'm with the baby at night. So she like moved into my home and became part of my support system. Now I know everybody can't do that. You can't maybe necessarily move your sister in or your friend in, but there are supports that you can utilize. So you have to think outside the box. What are some things that you can do to increase your supports, to provide you the necessary space you need to set the clear boundaries, to have the good time management, and to get the things done that you need to get done? So I can't say individually what your life looks like, but I can encourage you to reflect on it and see who are those people, what are those systems like the Instacart, like for ordering food, that you can put in place to help decrease the stress and also help you with separating and decreasing some of those things on your schedule. Another option, like I spoke about previously, is redesigning your workspace and having really clear sacred spaces. I don't work in my bedroom anymore. I don't utilize my bedroom for work because I want that space to only be a space of rest and peace and calm. So I won't set up my little Zooms and do my therapy or any type of work in my bedroom. I will also make really clear workspaces for my son for school. So his desk is set up in a particular place so that he can be productive and not have certain things like taking his attention, and also not feeling like it's in his personal relaxed space either. So how is your workspace set up? Is it in a good place in your home to help you be productive, or is it impeding on a sacred space and you need to switch it up? Consider that. Like, how can you redesign your space to make it work better for you during these times? Also, last one on this slide is probably one of my favorites because I love music, is soundtracking your day. What does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. So while you're working, you can play like focus music in the background to kind of help you focus, and you know that this is your work time, your time to be productive and just focus on work. And then when your work hours are over, you can play more casual, relaxing music. So maybe during the day you might want to play some focus music, and then in the evening you're going to wrap it up with some jazz and a relaxing treat that's maybe healthy, whatever it looks like for you. But switching up the music can also help your brain see that this is a different time. Like, this is time to focus on work, and this is time to kind of check out and relax. If you like music, hey, try it out. I like it. Works for me. Here's some other improvement ideas. why is exercise up there, right? Well, studies have shown that if you start your day with exercise, it can help your brain focus and be more productive throughout the day. So, exercise is really important. If you can't get it done in the first part of your day, finding time during the day to exercise can also help your moods, your emotions, and give you that space and that clarity you need to get all the things done that you need to get done. Outside of exercise, it's important to consider self care. Now, I know there's another presentation on self care, so I won't spend a lot of time talking about self care in this presentation. But I also have a handout that helps you assess how you are managing your self care in different areas of your life. Because a lot of times when we think about self care, we're thinking about bubble baths or going shopping and buying something nice or taking a trip. Because, I love the water. So, self care means beach trip, right? But there are other ways to practice self care in different areas of your life. So you can practice self care in your work life. You can practice self care in your spiritual life, if there's a spiritual space of your life. And then also that emotional self care. So there are different areas to consider. So I want you to check out that worksheet and just self assess. Check the boxes. See if you're practicing good self care in all areas of your life, or if there are some areas for improvement. And if there are areas for improvement, then you could just work on those areas, right? Another thing to consider when we're trying to separate that work and home life is working on how to ignore distractions. So if you're knowing that this time is set specifically for work, so you're supposed to start your work day at 9 in the morning and you don't finish working until 5 in the evening. When you go take your lunch break and you notice there's a load of dirty clothes or the dishwasher needs to be run, ignore it during your work time because the focus is work. And you don't want to spend your energy attempting to take care of home life stuff during your work life schedule. So ignore that distraction. It's something to focus on later, but not during your work life. And same for your personal life. If you know that this is the time that you're relaxing, you're watching a good Netflix movie, or you're talking to a friend or a family member on the phone, and you get that email from work, you don't have to answer it during that time. Ignore that distraction and focus on your personal life and that time that you need to step away from work. So, being really clear about ignoring those distractions. Also, I mentioned this before, but I'm going to say it again. Don't overschedule yourself. If you're looking at your day, get really clear about how much time it takes to do certain tasks and don't overbook yourself. Only set up your days to have the things in it that you can get done in a reasonable amount of time, and it'll help you to be able to separate that work and home life. You also want to limit your leisure time doing like fun Zooms with friends. I know there have been like Zooms where people get on the Zoom and they're painting and sipping or doing board games with friends or movies with friends. If you've been in front of a computer all day for work or for school, I encourage you not to spend all night also being on a computer for your leisure time. It's important to take breaks in between the computer and the screen time. So if you are interested in doing like some leisure computer or electronic activities, schedule it on a day that's not heavy with work computer time so that you can have those breaks in your days. It's really important for you not to just be sitting and being sedentary for the entire day. So you want to be able to get up and do that moving around and giving your body and your eyes the space to see something that's not just a computer screen or a tablet or a phone. So it's important to limit that time. And also, if all these things, all these different improvements, strategies, you've tried it, you're like, look, Danielle, I've done all these things, none of it's working. I think it's time to consider seeking professional help because it's affecting your life in a way that's causing you to have challenges with work or home, and none of these suggestions are working. You should seek some professional help. A counselor can sit with you, look at your life, and help you uncover the strategies that can help you individually change things. So, if you're too overwhelmed, if listening to this triggers that I'm just at a space where I don't feel any of these things will help, then I encourage you to seek some professional help. There are people out here who are trained to help you get through this time and to help you navigate that work and home life balance so you don't feel like it is a negative experience or it's an overwhelming experience and you don't feel you can do either well. So seek that professional help if you need it. All right, we were talking self-care strategies. There is a worksheet that's going to be available to you. There should be a link where you can click and you can capture the worksheet. So check out that self-care assessment. Go through it independently. I won't give you time today to do it. I won't even go over the worksheet today because I don't think that that's the best use of this time. But I want to encourage you to definitely take that worksheet, check the boxes, see where you can improve, see what areas you're doing really well in, and get the work done. So make sure you click, get that self-care worksheet. Also, the setting boundaries worksheet. I encourage everyone, yes, you're listening to this presentation, you are part of everyone, to do the setting boundaries worksheet. Setting clear boundaries is really important in life. Sometimes we do really well with setting boundaries at work, but then we struggle to set clear boundaries for our family. We want to learn how to set really clear boundaries in all domains of our life. Boundaries over work life, home life. The things you need. It's really important. So click on the link for setting boundaries, do the worksheet, see how you manage setting those boundaries. Resources. All the different things that I talked to you about today are located from these two articles and websites. So you would go to How to Keep Home and Work Life Separate While Working Remotely, and there's the link for the website. Or you would go to 9 Creative Ways to Separate Life and Work at Home, and their website is located there. And the 2 worksheets that I talked to you about, the links are located here. So that Setting Boundaries worksheet and the Self-Care worksheet, you can locate both of those using the links below. I hope this information was helpful to you. I know it's different learning information this way, but I'm hopeful that you were able to reflect on how you can change things in your own life to improve separating that work and home life, and you can get through the rest of this pandemic in a more healthy way. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you all in May when we have the part of this conference that's interactive and I can see all of your faces and hear how this information was helpful to you. Thank you again, and God bless.